Sarah thought she was resilient. At 52, she'd built a successful marketing career, raised two kids, and routinely handled pressure better than most of her colleagues. She stood tall among her peers, confident, accomplished, proud of her strength, like a tree that had weathered its share of storms. But in 2023, the winds changed. First came the layoffs, then her mother's stroke, then a health scare of her own. Within 6 months, Sarah felt like she had aged 5 years. She couldn't sleep, couldn't focus, couldn't bounce back like she used to. That's when she realized she wasn't deeply rooted. She was more like a greenhouse plant, tall and impressive, but untested. And when the real storm hit, she nearly broke. But there's another kind of person. Someone who faces the same storms and not only survives, but grows stronger. They're like the oak tree that's weathered decades of wind and rain with roots so deep and trunk so strong that storms barely register. The difference isn't luck, and it isn't genetics. It's something you can build starting today. It's the third quality of the longevity phenotype, resilience. I'm Dr. Mike Kleven, and today we're going to discover why some people break under pressure while others become unshakable. Now, I'm not a botanist, but let me tell you something fascinating about trees. In nature, young trees that grow up in windy conditions develop something remarkable: deeper roots, stronger trunks, and more flexible branches. But trees grown in protected greenhouses, shielded from wind and stress, grow tall but remain weak. When you finally expose them to real weather, they snap. This isn't just botanical trivia, it's a fundamental principle of life called hormesis, the idea that controlled stress makes us stronger, and it explains everything about human resilience. Sarah's problem wasn't that she faced stress. It's that she'd spent decades avoiding the kind of beneficial stress that builds resilience. She was a greenhouse human in a stormy world. Aging researchers have discovered that most of what we call aging isn't gradual decline, it's discrete setbacks, sudden drops in function from which we never fully recover. Think about it. An 80-year-old gets pneumonia, spends 2 weeks in the hospital, bedbound, loses 20% of their muscle mass, and never gets it back. A 65-year-old has a heart attack, becomes afraid to exercise, and spirals into frailty. These aren't inevitable aging. They're storms hitting trees with shallow roots. But resilient people are different. When storms hit, they bend but don't break. They may lose some leaves, experience temporary setbacks, but their deep roots and strong trunk keep them standing, and often they grow back stronger than before. This is what Sarah needed to learn: how to grow unshakable roots before the next storm. And here's where most people get it wrong about stress. They think the goal is to eliminate it. Sarah certainly did. After work, she'd collapse on the couch with wine and Netflix, avoiding anything that felt challenging. She thought she was managing stress. Actually, she was avoiding the very thing that could make her stronger. Like any number of natural phenomena, stress itself is inherently neither good nor bad, but can be classified as good or bad depending on how it affects you. Dr. Sharon Berquist, in her book, The Stress Paradox, explains the difference eloquently. Bad stress is chronic, uncontrollable, and overwhelming, like Sarah's work pressure combined with family crises. It's the relentless, hostile environment that prevents the tree from ever flourishing. But good stress is acute, manageable, and followed by recovery. It's the wind that makes the tree grow stronger. This is the principle of hormesis, and it's everywhere in nature. Your immune system gets stronger when exposed to manageable challenges. Your muscles grow when you stress them with resistance. Plants create defensive compounds when mildly stressed, creating the nutrients that make them healthy for us to eat. Sarah was not flourishing. She was avoiding beneficial stress while drowning in harmful stress. It's no wonder her roots stayed shallow. The solution wasn't to eliminate stress. It was to choose the right kind of stress. to become like the tree that seeks out the wind because it knows each gust makes it stronger. Sarah learned about 4 root systems essential to human resilience, 3 that help you build it, and the final one to help you survive when the real storms hit. The first root system is exercise. This is a familiar theme when building a longevity phenotype, but here's what you may not realize about it. It goes way beyond stronger muscles. Exercise is stress inoculation for your entire system. Stronger bones to prevent fractures as you age. Stronger immune system to beat infection and prevent cancer from spreading. Stronger heart function and blood flow to power and fuel your organs, including your brain. Stronger mitochondria to make energy when you need it most. Emotional stability to tolerate the inevitable heartaches and disappointments of life. And of course, the cardiorespiratory fitness and muscle strength crucial to healthy aging that we addressed in our last 2 episodes. Let me highlight just one fascinating mechanism by which exercise makes you resilient. When you exercise vigorously, you're essentially creating a controlled storm. Your heart rate spikes, lactate floods your system, and your cells scramble to meet energy demands. It's acute stress, exactly the kind that makes you stronger. And here's the magic. That lactate isn't just metabolic waste like we used to think it was. It's a signal molecule that travels to your brain and triggers the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF literally grows new brain cells and connections. It's neurogenesis, the opposite of neurodegeneration. So when you do that brutal interval workout, you're not just training your muscles and your heart, you're training your brain to handle stress. You're growing neural roots that will help you weather any storm. Sarah discovered this when she started her morning workouts. At first, 20 minutes of intervals felt impossible. But gradually, something shifted. The stress at work that used to overwhelm her started feeling manageable. Crises at home felt a bit less catastrophic than before. The research backs this up. People who exercise regularly show 40 to 60% lower stress hormone responses to psychological challenges. Exercise literally makes you unshakable. The second root system is sleep. Remember the differences between good stress and bad stress? Recovery is one of them, and sleep is when you do it. If exercise is the wind that makes you stronger, sleep is when the actual strengthening happens. Trees do most of their growing at night, in stillness, and humans are no different. Sarah's biggest mistake wasn't just avoiding beneficial stress, it was sabotaging her recovery. Stressed from work, she'd stay up, scrolling her phone, her mind racing with tomorrow's problems. She averaged 5 or 6 hours of sleep, thinking she was being productive. Actually, she was preventing her roots from growing. And here's why. Again, another fascinating mechanism. Your brain literally clears out metabolic waste while you sleep. It's an elegant network called the glymphatic system. It's like a nighttime cleaning crew, washing away the toxins that accumulate during stress. Without adequate sleep, those toxins build up, making you more vulnerable to the next day's challenges, as well as more brain problems down the road that we'll address in a future episode. But sleep does something even more important for resilience. It consolidates the stress adaptations you built during the day. Remember that BDNF from exercise? Sleep is when it actually builds new neural connections. It's when your stress inoculation training gets permanently installed. Similarly, you may have heard of growth hormone, which is essential to rebuilding the muscle, tendons, ligaments, and bones that we stress during a workout. Growth hormone spikes to its highest levels during sleep, specifically during deep sleep. If you're exercising without adequate sleep, you're not getting the full benefit. So poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it makes you fragile. Studies show that sleep deprivation increases stress sensitivity. We all know this. The same stressor that a well-rested person handles easily can overwhelm someone who's sleep deprived. Just look at a 2-year-old who needs a nap. Adults are no different, we're just better at hiding it. Sarah's breakthrough came when she started treating sleep like medicine. 8 hours, non-negotiable. Phone in the other room, cool, dark bedroom. Within weeks, she noticed something remarkable. The work stress that used to keep her awake was now manageable. Her roots were finally growing deep enough to anchor her. The third root system might surprise you: nutrition as hormetic stress. Remember how plants create defensive compounds when they're mildly stressed? Those compounds, polyphenols, flavonoids, antioxidants, are what make plants healthy for us. So when you eat broccoli, you're not just getting vitamins, you're getting mild toxins that are good for you in nutritional sized doses. Toxins that trigger your cells to upregulate their own defense systems. It's like a molecular workout that builds cellular resilience. But here's what Sarah was doing wrong. She was eating for comfort, not for strength. Processed foods, refined sugars, lots of saturated fats, these don't provide hormetic stress. They provide harmful stress without any adaptive benefit. The research is clear. Diets rich in diverse plant foods reduce inflammatory markers and improve stress resilience. But it's not just about eating plants, it's about eating a wide variety of them. So, Sarah made some changes. Instead of reaching for wine and chips after a stressful day, she would make a salad. Now, before rolling your eyes, I don't mean iceberg lettuce and ranch. Her salads became legendary, colorful, bursting with flavor, and different each week. Various greens, chopped veggies, beans, lentils, seeds, spices, and her own dressing of olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and honey. Immensely satisfying and delicious, and without the guilt of comfort foods. The abundant variety of polyphenols in these meals were stressing her cells just enough to make them stronger, and this, in turn, made Sarah more resilient. The change she felt was subtle but profound. Her energy was more stable, her mood was more even, and some of her blood work improved. She was building biochemical resilience one meal at a time. Finally, the fourth root system: mindfulness. It's the deepest root system, pun intended, and the hardest to objectively quantify. Watch a tree in a storm. It doesn't fight the wind or try to run from it. Granted, it can't. But it stands rooted, present, flexible but unshakable. The storm rages around it, but the tree remains grounded, drawing strength from its deep roots. In people, we might call this mindfulness. When things feel overwhelming, it's the ultimate resilience skill: presence in the storm. Now, it's helpful even if you've never tried it, but it's not a gimmick. Its real power is developed through practice, like mindfulness meditation. Sarah learned how powerful it was during her next major crisis at work. Instead of panicking, instead of catastrophizing, she stood still. She breathed. She stayed rooted in the present moment rather than spiraling into worst-case scenarios. The research on mindfulness and stress resilience is overwhelming. Regular meditation practice reduces cortisol levels, improves emotional regulation, and increases psychological resilience. But you don't need to become a meditation master. You just need to learn to be like the tree: rooted, present, unshakable. Sarah's practice was simple. When stress hit, she'd pause, take 3 deep breaths, and visualize the tree. The tree doesn't resist the storm or flee from it. It bends with the wind, but stays rooted. 6 months after Sarah started growing her 4 root systems: exercise, sleep, nutrition, and mindfulness, she faced her biggest test yet. A major client pulled out, threatening her team's jobs. The old Sarah would have spiraled into panic, lost sleep for weeks, and made the crisis worse with her stress response. But this Sarah was different. She had deep roots now. The crisis felt like wind in her leaves, noticeable, but not threatening. She handled the client calls with calm professionalism. She slept well despite the uncertainty. She made clear decisions instead of reactive ones. Her team looked to her for stability, and she provided it. The project failure that would have broken the old Sarah barely registered with the new one. And this is what resilience really means: not fighting stress, but growing stronger through it. Not seeking comfort, but choosing the kind of beneficial stress that makes you stronger. not avoiding storms, but becoming so deeply rooted that storms become just weather. Recall from our previous episodes that being unfit carries a 4-fold increased risk of death. Being weak carries a 3-fold risk. Being non-resilient, having shallow roots when the storms of life hit, carries similar dangers. But unlike fitness and strength, resilience protects you from every kind of storm: physical illness, emotional trauma, financial stress, relationship challenges, all the things that are going to happen in your life. And this is why resilient is the third quality of the longevity phenotype. So how do you assess your own resilience? How deep are your roots right now? Ask yourself these questions. When stress hits, do you bend or do you break? Do you bounce back quickly from setbacks, or do they leave you permanently diminished? When you face challenges, do you grow stronger or just survive? If you're like the old Sarah, tall but fragile, impressive but shallow-rooted, it's time to start growing deeper roots. And the beautiful thing about resilience is that you can start building it at any age from any starting point. Root System 1. Exercise as stress training. Start with just 20 minutes of vigorous exercise twice a week. It doesn't matter what kind. Intervals, sprints, hill climbing, whatever challenges you. The goal here isn't fitness, it's stress inoculation. You're teaching your entire system to handle acute challenges with grace. After 20 minutes of sprints in the morning, whatever hits you later that day will be a piece of cake. Root System 2. Sleep as recovery. Treat sleep like the medicine it is. 8 hours, non-negotiable. Create a sleep sanctuary, cool, dark, and quiet. Put your phone in another room. Your roots grow at night. Give them the conditions they need. Root System 3. Nutrition as hormetic medicine. Eat a wide variety of plants every day. Think of each colorful vegetable as a mild, beneficial stressor that makes your cells stronger. Choose foods that challenge your system in good ways, not foods that comfort you in bad ways. And you do not have to sacrifice deliciousness to do this. Root System 4. Mindfulness. When stress hits, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what would the tree do? Stand rooted. Stay present. Bend but don't break. The storm will pass, but your roots will remain. Sarah's story isn't unique. A lot of us think we're pretty resilient, but then the storm comes. Job loss, illness, divorce, death of a loved one. And we discover what Sarah discovered, that our roots aren't as deep as we thought. But here's the hope. It's never too late to change that. Every workout is wind training for your resilience. Every good night's sleep deepens your recovery capacity. Every plant-rich meal builds your cellular strength. And every mindful moment roots you more deeply in unshakable presence. The storms of life are inevitable. Aging brings discrete setbacks that will test your resilience. But you get to choose. Will you be the greenhouse plant that breaks in the first real wind, or the mighty oak that grows stronger with each storm? If this resonates with you and you're ready to build a longevity phenotype, subscribe. Next time we'll explore the fourth quality, cognitively sharp, and we'll see how resilience helps you build a better brain. What do you think of the tree analogy? Does it help you understand resilience? Or is it just cheesy? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.